All right, you're listening to On Deck, presented by Amazing Met Zone. I'm your boy, Phil from Shirley, with my boy, Drewminati 82. What up, Drew?
Happening, Philly? What's going on?
Not much, man. Fucking Movember right now. We want to talk about our top five mustaches of all time in sports history. And I'll start it off with my number five. I'm gonna go with Andy Reid. Andy Reid of the Kansas City Chiefs right now. Got a great stash. He's been a popular Halloween costume in the past. Got to put Andy Reid on my list. I love the Chubster. I got to put him up there. My number five, Andy Reid.
Yeah, I mean, this list was hard for me. I have a lot of guys that have mustaches that I think are classic mustaches. But my number five is actually a newer player. I'm going with Gardner Minshew. I feel like he just had like such a sweet stash for I think a long time. I don't know if he still has it, but he had this that look like that throwback look. He was still kind of like the throwback player. So yeah, number five for me is Gardner Minshew. I know it's a newer player, but still he's got to be my number five.
I love it, Uncle Rico. I love it. My number four, Donnie Baseball, man. Donnie Baseball, one of the best mustaches of all time. I got to put him on my list. One of my favorite players when I was a kid. I always loved Donnie Baseball, even though I was a Met fan. So my number four, the Donnie Baseball, Don Mattingly.
Yeah, it's funny, man, because he's actually my number four. Well, just it's hard not to like Don Mattingly. I mean, even as a manager, I thought he was pretty cool. It was weird when he shaved his mustache off when he was older, like he didn't look like the same person. But yeah, his stash is classic. He's classic. Yankees they don't let the facial hair too much, and he pushed the envelope a little bit. And he's Donnie Baseball. He's one of the best players ever not to be in the Hall of Fame. So yeah, my number four is Donnie Baseball, Don Mattingly.
Love it. Love it. My number three, an all time great, very underrated. A lot of people don't even know this guy's name, and that's Goose Gossage. To me, Goose Gossage just had that crazy mustache coming in late in games, throwing at you. One of the early like gunslingers throwing the ball 99 miles per hour. So he's got to be on my list. Very intimidating, huge mustache. The Goose Gossage.
Nice. My number three is like cut in the same cloth. I got Randy Johnson. Uh,
Mm.
he's like that old country boy, with that sick mustache. It was pretty iconic. He still has it to this day. Like you said, just intimidating on the mound. That long, lanky dude. Threw heat, killed a bird while he threw fastball. Yeah, that stash was pretty cool. It still is. So my number three is Randy Johnson.
Love it. Love it. My number two, one of my favorite people of all time, the legend, and that's Keith Hernandez. To
Nice.
me, he could make the argument he's number one. I mean, the guy is the mustache. He's always had it. He looks like a 70s porn star. The guy's a stud. I got to go Keith Hernandez, my number two.
Yeah, my number two, out of I feel like I had a lot of baseball players on my list. My number two is Hulk Hogan. He had the
Mm.
chew a little bit the handlebars. I always thought that was really cool. He lost all of his hair, so he had to do something with his facial hair, I guess. But yeah, no, Hulk Hogan is definitely my number two, without a doubt.
Like it's yeah, I didn't even think of Hogan, man. Like, he would have been on my list. That's one of the first times ever where I'm hearing a name and I'm like, fuck, I missed Hogan. Like, how's that possible? So my number one, one of my favorite of all time, and that's gotta be Raleigh Fingers. Anytime you got some fucking curls and shit going on in your mustache, and that shit's all whacked out like that, curled around, like you had to take time and put some fucking oil and some grease on that. Like that man put in work on that mustache like that. He's gotta be on my list. My number one, Raleigh Fingers.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys on this list that I wanted to put on. I mean, Mike Dick is one of the
Mm,
best mustaches. Dennis Eckersley,
mm.
Jared Allen had a pretty cool mustache at one point.
Yep, yep.
It was like kind of a joke. Joe Namath, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my number one is Keith. My number one is Keith. It's got to be Keith. I mean, that mustache is iconic. Actually, I have. It was a Shea Stadium giveaway where they gave Keith Hernandez mustaches out. It's really cool. Yeah, just I feel like he's got to be my number one. I know it Met, but at the same time, I feel like even if he wasn't a Met or he wasn't, one of my favorite players, I'd still have him on this list because that mustache is pretty iconic.
All right, that's our top 5 mustaches of all time. Let us know what we missed. And hey, thanks for listening. Shout out everybody participating too in Movember.
Yeah, man, that's why I have this silly mustache on right now. It's always an excuse to throw it. I love having a mustache, but at the same time, Movember, men's mental health, bring awareness to suicide prevention, men talking about, what they have going on. I know it's like, the male ego not to talk about it. But yeah, Movember and Philly, tell them about what you have going.
Shout out Nolan Nation, baby. Shout out Nolan Horn. We love you. And everybody look it up, man. Make sure you can support. Anything will help.
Let's
Thanks for listening, guys. Let's go, Mets.
go.